speakers, and thank you very much to our honored guests for attending today. What are you most thankful for? Who do you appreciate the most? In fact, I'll put you on the spot. Here's a better question. How many people have you thanked today? All right, so raise your hand if you've thanked one person today. All right, keep them up if you've thanked 3 before coming to the, oh, I'm starting to see them. Good class participation. Keep them up if you thanked 5. All right, well, it's still early in the day. It's not quite noon, so we got that to work for. Today we'll talk about gratitude, a very non-macabre subject. And it's a selfless action that reaps enormous benefits for others and then also for yourself. So I will be your gratitude guru, and I'll lead you on your gratitude daily practice. But first, what are we talking about? So the all-knowing Google defines gratitude as the quality of being thankful, readiness to show appreciation, and to return kindness. I think a better definition for gratitude is that it's happiness doubled by wonder. So I'll go through 4 principles for gratitude. The first one is that gratitude affects your attitude. Say that again. Gratitude affects attitude. And so there's an old saying that all things equal, attitude wins. And then also all things not equal, attitude sometimes still wins. So people who practice gratitude by taking the time to reflect on what they are thankful for experience more positive emotions, they feel more alive, they actually sleep better, they show better compassion and kindness, and they also have better immune systems, if you can believe it. So if you think about it, gratitude is sort of the scope through which you hunt the good stuff in life. Second principle is that gratitude disarms. So simply, your attitude towards others determines their attitude towards you. And so I did something for this speech, to prepare for this speech, that I kind of have been pushing off for about 2 months, and Lauren can tell you that. I wrote a thank you note to a former boss. So I worked for the man for 2 years, great man, had a great relationship, he was a great commander, gave me freedom of action, and then about the last month, the relationship sort of fizzled. And so by writing the thank you note, kind of in hopes it will, bridge that gap, close that rift. But I know that it's already filled the gap with me and allowed me to kind of move forward. Now the third principle is that gratitude energizes. So this is pretty cool. Gratitude gives you energy to overcome the hump and then move forward when things get rough. And it also can be quite profitable. So as you can see, I've got my favorite shirt on. It's Paddy Irish Whiskey. And there's a story behind Paddy Irish Whiskey and gratitude. So Paddy Flaherty in the 1920s was a salesman for Jameson Irish Whiskey. And he would travel all over England and Scotland and Ireland, pub to pub, selling Jameson whiskey. But Paddy Flaherty was also a very gracious individual. And so as he would make the sale, they would have a shot or two, he would become very gracious, and then all the money that he would make from the sale, he would spend on buying shots and shots and shots. So I don't know if he's trying to spread, have them taste the wares or whatnot. So, but Paddy Flaherty became the most successful Jameson sales representative of all time.
And you were named after him.
And he probably was the poorest sales representative of all time for Jameson as well. But when Jameson, very top shelf whiskey, wanted to make a less expensive whiskey, a working man's whiskey, they named it in honor of Paddy Flaherty. So the final principle is that gratitude empowers. And this is the really powerful stuff. So it's not just, so far we've talked about how kind of gratitude will help you, this is how gratitude helps other people. And so what you got to think about is that appreciating people gives them energy. John Maxwell says, you connect with people only when you value them. And so we thought about different ways to take you on your path, on your gratitude journey. We said one was you could write a journal each night. Everything you're thankful for, put it there, and you feel that sort of inner glow. As that. Another is you could have a jar, a gratitude jar, and as you're going through little snippets of paper, you put it in there. Then J.B. Stern says that gratitude, silent gratitude, isn't much help to anyone. So really it's that gratitude that you push out to other people that lifts them up raises their confidence, which raises their competence, which raises their confidence, and in a positive cycle. If you think about stocks and bonds, when their value raises, they appreciate. And so does someone's self-worth when you appreciate them. So I've got a quote from Dale Carnegie. Try leaving little sparks of gratitude on your daily trips. You'll be surprised how they become small flames of friendship, and that will become rose beacons on your next visit. So how can you do this? How can you show gratitude? We always talk about the sandwich for evaluators. You start with something positive, you add constructive criticism, and you end with something positive. I'm going to give you the gratitude sandwich. It's a big double whopper. And so you start by thanking someone, and then you comment on their quality, their passion, or their commitment, and then you finish by thanking. And so I'll give this as a surprise, but John, and give a gratitude sandwich to John. And so, John, thank you very much for being the Sergeant of Arms. As I snuck in here at about 10 o'clock to practice up here in the space, he was already here setting everything out, so that as you came, the first one, everything's laid out in organization for it. So thank you very much for that, and it shows me kind of selfless action that never asks for any thanks. Thank you very much. All right, so we'll finish with gratitude challenge. So I asked you once, I'm going to ask you next week. So as you leave those doors and you walk, how many people can you thank? Write it down, and I'm going to ask you, and hopefully it'll be more than 5. Thank you very much, and namaste.
Thank you.
Toastmaster, fellow Toastmasters, most welcome guests, and especially Patty. The power of gratitude. As you probably know, gratitude is a subject close to my heart. That was the theme I had last week, so I don't know if that inspired it, but it sounds like you've been practicing gratitude for a long time, and so I don't take any credit for that. For those of you who are not familiar with the Toastmasters program, there are 10 prepared speeches in the basic manual. John was doing speech number 3. The project is Get to the Point, and the purpose of this is to have a general purpose of the speech and a specific purpose. And the reason this is important is if you've ever walked away from a presentation or a speech like, what was that about? It was because the speaker did not clearly have a point to that. And from what I could tell, your general purpose, which is one of 4 things, to persuade, inspire, entertain, or inform, the main purpose was to persuade. And the specific purpose was to persuade us to practice more gratitude in our lives. And I think you achieved that purpose very effectively. I liked how you opened with a question, what are you grateful for? What a fantastic question. Because that immediately brought us into your topic, made us think about it, and it also brought us into where you were heading with us. Now, one of the other criteria for this is that it builds on speech number 2, which is about organization. And you had a very clear opening, a body, and a conclusion, and you were well organized in the middle. You had 4 specific points about gratitude. You said you were going to give us 4 specific points, and then you gave us the points in order about how an attitude of gratitude, how gratitude disarms, gratitude energizes, and gratitude empowers. And you emphasized each of those with a terrific example. I found the most effective examples to be your personal story, how you were expressing gratitude to a former boss, and perhaps the most effective was expressing gratitude in the moment to John, our Sergeant at Arms. What a great way to bring it all into the present moment. Now, I have a few suggestions, things that I think could have made the speech a little bit more effective. You began in the beginning, after your introduction, you said, today we'll talk about gratitude. I think that could have been more effective to state the purpose, as after the speech, I want you to be practicing more gratitude in your lives. The other is, you had a great Dale Carnegie quote. It's always good to have a quote. You introduced by saying, I got a quote from Dale Carnegie. Again, that would be more effective. It says, as Dale Carnegie once said, and then you get the quote. And then finally, I liked your great gratitude challenge at the end. And I think my little tweak on that might be at the end. After hearing the speech, you might be thinking, how can I practice more gratitude in my life? Well, take my gratitude challenge. I challenge you every day to thank at least 5 people, so that when I come back next week, you will have 35 people that you've thanked in the last week. What a great way to end it. And overall, your presentation of the speech was very effective with your voice, with your gestures, and you had minimal use of notes. I know they were there, but they were very unnoticeable, so that was very well done. And I so look forward to hearing your number 4 speech. Thank you. I'll do one anyway, if that's okay.
Yeah, you can do one
Do we have time?
Not
This, oh, I got a War and Peace here. It says, you manage your team, you're having a work Halloween party, and a member of your team has a great costume, is having a great time, and will probably win the costume contest. An urgent work matter comes up that only that team member can do. How do you convince that person? Well, it's obviously that person is the one who's dressed as a gigantic yellow bird. And in performing your role as a yellow bird, I think it's really important that you also perform your role as a Toastmaster and conduct the meeting. So that is a vital role that has to happen. And so if you can just stop talking with Mr. Snuffleupagus, and come back to the lectern and fulfill your duties, then I think that you will find that you will be more grateful for the fact that you've helped us all, that you will feel better about yourself for having fulfilled your obligations to the club, and you will not have to talk to Mr. Snuffleupagus anymore.